Hi, welcome back to the Bible in a Year Live Chronological Project. Today is week 32, day 7. My name is Sharon Dennis. I'll be your reader today. Today we're going to start off by reading 2 Kings chapters 24 and 25, which records the tragic fall of Judah and the start of the Babylonian exile. King Jehoiakim, King Jehoiachin, and King Zedekiah all did evil, leading King Nebuchadnezzar to besiege Jerusalem, burn the temple, and deport the people. We'll be reading from the Amplified Version today, as we've been doing all week, and we're just going to close off the week. 2 Kings 24. Babylon controls Jehoiakim. In his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant for 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. The Lord sent marauding bands of Chaldeans, Arameans, Syrians, Moabites, and Ammonites against Jehoiakim. And he sent them against Judah to destroy it, in accordance with the word of the Lord which he spoke through his servants the prophets. Surely this came on Judah at the command of the Lord, to remove them from his sight because of the sins of King Manasseh, in accordance with everything that he had done, and also for the innocent blood that he shed, for he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood. And the Lord would not pardon it. Now, the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and everything that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? Jehoiachin's reign. So Jehoiakim slept with his fathers in death, and his son Jehoiachin became king in his place. The king of Egypt did not come out of his land again, because the king of Babylon had taken everything that belonged to the king of Egypt, from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he became king, and he reigned only 3 months in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Nehushata, daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. He did evil in the sight of the Lord in accordance with everything that his father had done. Deportation to Babylon. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, went up to Jerusalem, and the city came under siege. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to the city while his servants were besieging it. Jehoiachin, king of Judah, surrendered to the king of Babylon, he and his mother and his servants and his captains and his palace officials. So the king of Babylon took him prisoner in the 8th year of his own reign. He carried out of there, Jerusalem, all the treasures of the house, temple of the Lord, and the treasures of the house, palace of the king, and cut in pieces all the articles of gold in the temple of the Lord, which Solomon, king of Israel, had made, just as the Lord had said. He led away into exile all Jerusalem, and all the captains, and all the brave men, 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen, and the smiths. None remained except the poorest people of the land. Nebuchadnezzar led Jehoiachin away into exile to Babylon. Also, he took the king's mother and the king's wives and his officials and the leading men of the land, including Ezekiel, as exiles from Jerusalem to Babylon. And the king of Babylon brought as exiles to Babylon all the brave men, 7,000 of them, and the craftsmen and the smiths, 1,000 of them, all strong and fit for war. Zedekiah made king. Then the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, Jehoiakim's uncle, king in his place, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 11 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. He did evil in the sight of the Lord in accordance with everything that Jehoiakim had done. Because of the anger of the Lord, these things happened in Jerusalem and Judah, and it finally came to the point that he cast them from his presence, and Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. 2 Kings 25. Nebuchadnezzar besieges Jerusalem. Now, in the 9th year of Zedekiah's reign, on the 10th day of the 10th month, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he with all his army, against Jerusalem, and camped against it, and built siege works surrounding it. The city came under siege for nearly 2 years, until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. On the 9th year of the 4th month, the famine caused by the siege was severe in the city. There was no food for the people of the land. Then the city wall was broken into and conquered. All the men of war fled by night by way of the gates between the two walls by the king's garden, though the Chaldeans, Babylonians, were all around the city. And they went by way of Arabah, the plain of the Jordan. The army of the Chaldeans pursued the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho. Then his entire army was dispersed from him. So they seized the king Zedekiah and brought him to the king of Babylon at Riblah on the Oritz river, and sentence was passed on him. They slaughtered the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, then put out the eyes of Zedekiah and bound him hand and feet with bronze fetters and brought him to Babylon. Jerusalem burned and plundered. On the seventh day of the fifth month in the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, captain of the bodyguard, a servant of the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. He burned the house temple of the Lord, the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Every great house he burned down. All the army of the Chaldeans, Babylonians, who were with the captain of the bodyguard, tore down the walls around Jerusalem. Then Nebuzaradan, the captain of the bodyguard, deported into exile the rest of the people who were left in the city, and the deserters who had joined the king of Babylon, and the rest of the multitude. But the captain of the bodyguard left some of the unimportant and poorest people of the land to be vineyard workers and farmers. Now the Chaldeans, Babylonians, smashed the bronze pillars which were in the house of the Lord, and their bases, and the bronze sea, large basins, which were in the house of the Lord, and carried the bronze to Babylon. They took away the pots, the shovels, the snuffers, the spoons, and all the bronze articles which were used in the temple service. The captain of the bodyguard also took away the fire pans and basins, anything made of fine gold, and anything made of fine silver. The two pillars, the one sea large basin, and the bases which Solomon had made for the house of the Lord, the bronze of all these articles were incalculable. The height of the one pillar was 18 cubits, 27 feet, and a capital of bronze was on top of it. The height of the capital was 3 cubits, 4.5 feet. A network, lattice work, and pomegranates around the capital were all of bronze, and the second pillar had the same as these, with a network. The captain of the bodyguard took captive Seraiah, the chief priest, Zephaniah, the second priest, and the three doorkeepers of the temple. And from the city of Jerusalem he took an officer who was in command of the man of war, and 5 men from the king's personal advisers who were found in the city, and the scribe of the captain of the army who mustered the people of the land for military service, and 60 men from the people of the land who were found in the city. Nebuzaradan, the captain of the bodyguard, took them and brought them to the king of Babylon at Riblah. Then the king of Babylon struck them down and killed them at Riblah in the land of Hamath, north of Damascus. So Judah was taken into exile from its land. Gedaliah made governor. Now, over the people whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had left in the land of Judah, he appointed as governor Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan. When all the captains of the forces, they and their men, heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah governor, they came with their men to Gedaliah to Mitzvah, namely Ishmael, son of Nathaniah, and Johanan, the son of Kariath, and Sariah, the son of Tanhumeth, the Netophathite, and Jazaniah, the son of the Maachahite. Gedaliah swore an oath to them and their men and said to them, "Do not be afraid of the servants, officials of the Chaldeans. Live in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it will be well with you." But in the seventh month, Ishmael, son of Nathaniah, the son of Elishama, of the royal family, who had a claim to be governor, came with 10 men and struck and killed Gedaliah and the Jews and the Chaldeans who were with him in Mitzvah. Then all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the forces set out and went to Egypt, but they were afraid of the Chaldeans, Babylonians. Now it came about in the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, on the 27th day of the 12th month, that evil Merodach, king of Babylon, in the year that he became king, showed favor to Jehoiachin, king of Judah, and released him from prison. And he spoke kindly to him and set his throne above the throne of the other kings of captive peoples who were with him in Babylon. Jehoiachin changed his prison clothes for palace garments, and he dined regularly in the king's presence for the remainder of his life. And his allowance, a continual one, was given to him by the king, Evil Merodach, a portion every day for the rest of his life. We'll also be reading today Second Chronicles 36, which is the final chapter of Chronicles. It details the final four wicked kings of Judah, the tragic fall and destruction of Jerusalem by Babylon, a 70-year exile, and a final spark of hope when King Cyrus of Persia allows the Jews to return home. This is much of what we just read, but just a different perspective, as you know. So let's dive in. Second Chronicles 36. Jehoiaz, Jehoiakim, then Jehoiachin rule. Then the people of the land took Jehoiaz, the son of Josiah, and made him king in Jerusalem in place of his father. Jehoiaz was 23 years old when he became king, and he reigned only 3 months in Jerusalem. Then the king of Egypt deposed him at Jerusalem and imposed a fine on the land of 100 talents of silver and 1 talent of gold. The king of Egypt made Eliakim, the brother of Jehoiaz, king over Judah and Jerusalem, and changed his name to Jehoiakim. But Necho took Jehoiaz, his brother, and brought him to Egypt. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord his God. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against him and bound him with bronze chains to take him to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also brought some of the articles of the house temple of the Lord to Babylon and put them in his temple there. Now, the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and the repulsive acts which he committed, and what was found against him, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah, and his son Jehoiachin became king in his place. Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord. Captivity in Babylon began. Now, at the turn of the year in the spring, King Nebuchadnezzar sent word and had him brought to Babylon with the valuable articles of the house of the Lord, and made his brother Zedekiah king over Judah and Jerusalem. Zedekiah's rule in Judah. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 11 years in Jerusalem. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, his God. He did not humble himself before Jeremiah the prophet, who spoke for the Lord. He also rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear allegiance by God. He stiffened his neck and hardened his heart against turning to the Lord God of Israel. Also, all the officials of the priests and the people were very unfaithful, following all the repulsive acts of the pagan nations, and they defiled the house of the Lord which he had sanctified in Jerusalem. The Lord, the God of their fathers, sent word to them again and again by his messengers, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they kept mocking the messengers of God and despising his words and scoffing at his prophets until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people, until there was no remedy or healing. Therefore, he brought the king of the Chaldeans against them, who killed their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion on young men or virgin, old man or infirm. He gave them all into his hand. And as for all the articles of the house of God, great and small, and the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king and his officials, he brought them all to Babylon. Then they burned the house of God and tore down the walls of Jerusalem and burned all its fortified buildings with fire and destroyed all its valuable articles. He deported to Babylon those who had escaped from the sword, and they were servants to him and to his sons until the kingdom of Persia was established there, to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had restored its Sabbaths. For as long as the land lay desolate, it kept Sabbath until 70 years were complete. Cyrus permits return. Now, in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, in order to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, the Lord stirred up the spirits of Cyrus, king of Persia, so that he sent a proclamation throughout his kingdom and also put it in writing, saying, Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he has appointed me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Whoever there is among you of all his people, may the Lord his God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem. This is the word of the Lord. Amen.